Tonight, before you fall asleep, you will check the temperature on your phone, adjust your thermostat, and pull a blanket over yourself without thinking twice. But 10,000 years ago, none of that existed. No thermostat, no blanket you didn't make yourself, no phone, no building, no lock on a door. Just you, the cold, the dark, and everything out there that wanted to eat you. Modern humans almost never sit with that reality long enough to feel it. But here's the thing. The people who lived that life weren't primitive. They weren't lesser. They were you. The same brain, the same fears, the same capacity for love and grief and curiosity, just dropped into a world so different from yours that surviving a single winter required everything they had. So what would your life actually look like? Let's start with the morning, because mornings 10,000 years ago were nothing like yours. You don't wake up to an alarm. You wake up because the light changes, because your body has been tracking the sky your entire life and knows exactly when dawn is coming. You wake up in a structure made of whatever your group could find: branches, animal hides, packed earth. It keeps out some of the wind, not all of it. You are cold in a way that modern people almost never experience. A deep, settled cold that has been in your bones since before midnight. The first thing you do is not check your phone. The first thing you do is find fire, or make it, because without fire, you are not eating today and you may not survive the night to come. You are not alone. That is the single most important fact about your life. Humans 10,000 years ago did not live as individuals. They lived in bands of roughly 20 to 50 people, extended family groups, moving together, sleeping near each other, eating together, making every decision together. Anthropologists who study modern hunter-gatherer groups describe a level of social integration that most people today have never experienced. You know everyone around you completely. You have known them your entire life. Their moods, their skills, their weaknesses, their history. There are no strangers in your world. There are your people, and there is everyone else, and everyone else is potentially dangerous. This changes everything about how you think. Your sense of identity is not individual the way yours is now. You are not a person who happens to belong to a group. You are the group, expressed as a person. Your survival depends so completely on the people around you that the boundary between self and community is almost meaningless. Modern psychology calls this interdependent identity, and researchers have found traces of it still running in the background of human cognition. A deep social wiring that evolved over hundreds of thousands of years and does not disappear in a few generations of individualism. Now let's talk about food, because food is your entire day. You are not farming yet. 10,000 years ago sits right at the edge of the agricultural revolution, which began roughly in the Fertile Crescent around this time, but had not yet spread across the world. For most people living in 8000 BC, food still means finding it. You wake up knowing that the group needs to eat, and that eating requires work, skill, knowledge, and luck in proportions that vary every single day. The women in your group, typically, know the landscape within a day's walk better than any modern botanist knows a laboratory. They know which roots are edible in which season, which berries are safe, which plants have medicinal properties, which water sources are clean. This knowledge is not written down anywhere. It lives in people, passed from mother to daughter over generations, and losing it means dying. The men hunt. Not every day, and not always successfully. A successful large hunt might happen once every several days, or less. In between, there are small catches. Birds, fish if you are near water. Insects, which are a reliable and caloric food source that modern Western culture has largely abandoned to its nutritional detriment. When a large animal is brought down, it is an event. The whole group eats. The meat is processed immediately because you have no refrigeration and spoilage is fast. Nothing is wasted. The bones are cracked for marrow. The hide begins the long process of becoming clothing or shelter. The sinew becomes cord. The organs are eaten first because they are richest in nutrients and spoil fastest. Every part of the animal has a use, and the knowledge of those uses is as important as the hunting itself. You are tired in a way that is completely different from modern fatigue. Modern tiredness is largely neurological. Screen fatigue, decision fatigue, the exhaustion of processing too much information in a body that is not moving enough. Your tiredness in 10,000 BC is physical and total. Your body has been used fully. You have walked, probably, between 5 and 15 miles today. You have carried things. You have crouched, climbed, lifted, processed. Your hands are calloused and capable in ways that would seem almost foreign to most modern people. You sit down at the end of the day, and your body knows exactly what rest is for, because it has genuinely earned it. And then comes the fire, and the night, and the part of this life that might surprise you most. You are not bored. That is the thing that modern people most consistently get wrong when they imagine this life. They picture deprivation, cold and hunger and constant fear. And those things are real, but they picture silence where there was actually richness. Around the fire at night, your group does what Polly Wiesner found the Kalahari Bushmen doing when she studied them for years in the 1970s and published her findings in 2014. You tell stories. Not small talk, not logistics. Stories. About people in other places. About the origins of the world. About what happened 3 winters ago when the river froze completely and the group nearly didn't make it. About the spirit that lives in the mountain to the east and what it wants from you. About love and betrayal and courage and the particular kind of grief that comes from losing someone you cannot replace. This is not primitive entertainment. This is the original technology of civilization. Wiesner found that nighttime firelight conversations among hunter-gatherers were the mechanism by which moral norms were transmitted, by which distant alliances were maintained, by which the young learned the deep history of their people. The campfire was the original classroom, the original court of law, the original archive. Every piece of knowledge your group possesses about the world lives in the stories told around fires like this one, passed from person to person, across generations, in a chain of memory that stretches back further than anyone can trace. You also know the sky in a way that has been almost entirely lost. There is no light pollution in your world. None. The darkness on a clear night is so complete, so saturated with stars, that the Milky Way is not a faint smear at the edge of visibility. It is a structure. A river of light so bright it casts faint shadows. You have been reading that sky your entire life. You know which stars rise before the rains come. You know which constellation tells you that certain animals will be migrating soon. You know the moon's cycle the way modern people know a calendar. Not because someone taught you to study it, but because your survival has always depended on it. And that kind of knowledge becomes instinct across enough generations. And you are afraid. Genuinely, physically, regularly afraid. This is worth sitting with. Modern humans have largely removed fear from daily life. The things that kill us now, cancer, heart disease, car accidents, arrive slowly or suddenly without warning, but not in the form of a predator moving through the dark outside your shelter. In 10,000 BC, that predator is real. Wolves, bears, big cats in many parts of the world. The rule is simple and absolute. You do not leave the fire circle at night alone. The anthropological record is clear on this point. People who wandered from fires at night died at significantly higher rates. Fear, for your ancestors, is not anxiety about the future. It is a rational response to an environment that genuinely wants to kill you, and it keeps you alive. But here is what you would not expect if you found yourself living this life. You would not feel impoverished. Researchers who have spent extended time living with or studying modern hunter-gatherer groups consistently report the same observation. These communities work less than modern people. Marshall Solins, one of the most influential anthropologists of the 20th century, called hunter-gatherers the original affluent society. Not because they had material wealth, but because their needs and their means were in balance. They worked roughly 4 to 6 hours a day to meet their needs. The rest was rest, or play, or story, or the particular kind of purposeless wandering that modern neuroscience now recognizes as essential to cognitive health. They were not waiting for civilization to rescue them. They were living a life calibrated over hundreds of thousands of years to the specific demands of this planet, in bodies built for exactly this existence, with a social structure optimized for exactly this kind of survival. They had deep knowledge, rich culture, complex spiritual lives, and a relationship with the natural world so intimate that most modern people can barely imagine it. Not because modern people are less intelligent, but because we have traded that intimacy for a different kind of life, one with antibiotics and heated rooms and the ability to talk to anyone on Earth in seconds. The trade has saved billions of lives. It has also cost us things we are only now beginning to name. So tonight, when you flip that switch and light floods the room, think about what that switch replaced. Not just darkness, not just inconvenience. A whole architecture of human experience built over 300,000 years, and dismantled in 3 generations. The cold mornings, the fire you kept alive because your life depended on it. The 50 people who knew your name and would notice if you didn't come back. The sky so full of stars, it told you where you were and what was coming. The stories that contained everything your people knew about how to live. You carry all of that inside you still. It's in the way you feel more awake around a campfire than you do under fluorescent lights. It's in the way a week in the wilderness resets something in you that months in a city slowly depletes. It's in the way you feel, at some level you can't quite explain, that the life you're living is fast and loud in ways that your body never quite agreed to. 10,000 years ago, you would have been exhausted and cold and sometimes hungry and genuinely afraid. But you would have known exactly who you were, exactly where you belonged, and exactly what the sky was trying to tell you.